Most people assume that if you own a high-end home in Dallas-Fort Worth, it will sell eventually. Just put it on the market and give it some time and the right buyer will show up. Well, that's exactly what a family we recently worked with thought. Their home had already been on the market with another agent and they believed the home should have been selling because homes in their price range were still moving in the area. But weeks went by with very little communication or feedback, and they just didn't understand why they weren't getting many showings or any offers. Meanwhile, the market was quietly shifting. Brand new homes were being built in their price range that buyers started to see as a better value, and their homes sat on the market for months. They were so frustrated and ended up costing them time, stress, and momentum in the market.
We're sharing that story with you so you do not end up in the same position, because something interesting is happening in the Dallas-Fort Worth high-end housing market right now. Some homes are selling in just a few days, while others are sitting for months, and a surprising number never sell at all. And when you actually look at the numbers, the difference between those outcomes usually isn't the house, it's how the home enters the market. In the next few minutes, we're going to walk through the real data from across Dallas, Collin, Denton, and Tarrant counties. You'll see how long higher priced homes are actually taking to sell, how many homes are sitting on the market now, and how many are going under contract, and why some listings are still selling quickly while others end up canceled or expired. And once you see these numbers, you'll have a much clearer picture of what's really happening in the upper price ranges of the DFW housing market right now. Whether you're thinking about selling a home in this price range, buying one, or doing both.
Before we jump into the charts, quick context. Everything we're looking at today is homes priced from $1 million and up across the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The higher end of the market can look very different depending on location. In some neighborhoods, $1 million is the entry point, while in others, the market moves much higher. So to keep things consistent across Dallas, Collin, Denton, and Tarrant counties, we're just starting at the 1 million price point and analyzing everything above that.
Most people want to know what homes are selling for, and we'll definitely get into that in a few minutes. But price doesn't exist by itself. There's another piece of information that always goes hand in hand with price, and that is how long homes are actually taking to sell. Let's dive into the numbers of how long it's taking to sell the properties from $1 million plus. Right now, Dallas has the fewest amount of days of 58 days on the market, while Collin County is leading the pack at 82 days. So the interesting part is when we break it down by price points. The 1 million to 1.5 million is at 69 days. Then the 1.5 to basically 2 million is at 55 days. Then we look at the 2 million to almost $3 million price range, and we're about 87 days with that. Now here's the real interesting part of all of this, is the $3 million plus price range is 38 days.
And that's really surprising because, we normally expect to see the higher priced homes sitting on the market longer, but right now you're seeing that 2 to 3 million mark, they're sitting on the market longer. That 87, that's almost, 3 months. And you've got that 3 million plus 38 days, like that's less than 2 months. So that's really, really surprising,
Yeah,
I think.
Just over a month.
Yes,
yeah.
Especially for this market.
Now let's look at how many homes are actually on the market so that way the sellers know how much competition that they have or they're going against to get their property sold. With all 4 counties combined, there's 658 homes that are for sale above that $1 million mark. And Dallas County is leading this by 254 homes are actually on the market right now. And it is going down to Tarrant County at 103 homes. So as you can see, the buyers still have a lot of properties or a lot of choices to be able to choose from. So what we're seeing, the homes that are positioned correctly are the ones that are selling. But inventory alone doesn't tell us whether buyers or sellers have the advantage. That's what we see when we look at the months of inventory of supply. When we look at everything, we've got 2.1 months of inventory on the ground for all 4 counties combined. Now that is telling us we are in a seller's market above that $1 million price point. So right now, the luxury market is still sitting well in a seller's market. However, even though we're in a seller's market, the properties still have to be positioned correctly in order for them to sell.
Right, and just because we're saying it's a seller's market does not mean that every home sells easily. We're not necessarily seeing that. What we're seeing right now actually is some homes that are still selling very quickly. And we're even still seeing multiple offers, which people find a little crazy. And then we see the other extreme of that as well, where homes are sitting on the market and they're having to come down their price. And so it does feel a little bit like it definitely doesn't feel like it did a few years ago when we were in the COVID market. It was artificial market is what it was. And so now we're trending to more of a normal market, but right now it feels, I'm going to use the word wonky. It feels a little wonky because some people definitely feel like it is a buyer's market, and depending on the location, the type of home, those things. And then others feel like, oh, it's definitely a seller's market.
Yeah, and when we say multiple offers, we're not seeing those crazy above the asking price. It's, they've got, say, 2 or 3 offers on a property, and they're selling, maybe 1 or 2% above the seller's asking price. So it's not an astronomical amount way and above.
Right, and we are seeing, based on we saw that list to sales price ratio, we are seeing them come down just a little bit below their asking price, but nothing crazy. We're not seeing people getting cut at the knees, and I think that also sellers are understanding better how to price their property since the market has been shifting, and we're seeing this in this luxury market. Where what you're seeing as well is it's more stable. You haven't seen a huge shift since last year. And so when you're reading the headlines and you're seeing, these things about the market, just understand that's very generic across all price points. In the luxury market, the higher end market is performing differently.
It's definitely performing differently. However, it still comes to making sure it's positioned well, because I am seeing the properties that, the sellers, really had an aggressive list price or asking price. And those are the ones you're seeing the adjustments or repositionings are happening with that. So the ones that are positioned right, they're doing very well. So now with that being said, let's look at how many homes are going under contract. And right now, Dallas County is leading the pack with 150 homes that are under contract. And Denton County is the least out of all of them at 55. So that's really given us 341 properties in all 4 counties that are under contract right now. So the market is still moving very well. It's just the buyers, again, they're being very particular on what they're actually writing offers on. Another interesting part of this market is how the buyers are actually purchasing these homes. Right now, 33% of the transactions are going on, the buyers are paying cash. So that's telling us 1 in 3 homes are a cash transaction, which that is down about 3% from this time last year. And then of course it increased 3% of the amount that are financed. It's just that we're seeing the buyers that are paying cash are doing it so that way they're putting their money into a hard asset that is a very solid investment.
Which is interesting because you just talked to a gentleman the other day at an open house, and he was saying, well, we're not concerned about financing at this price point, it's mainly cash. Well, that's what a lot of people do tend to think, and these are the numbers. Yes, that is a significant amount, 33% paying cash, but you still have 67% that are financing in some form. So it is good to know when you're selling, that's the case. When your buyers are coming in, and if you're going to purchase something, you're looking at what's the best use of, do you put all cash down? Do you put a larger down payment down? How do you want to position yourself when you're buying this home?
Yeah, are you looking at it just for, just really holding the cash solid somewhere, or you looking to leverage to be able to have other options available to you for other investments? But the most surprising numbers this month actually show up when we look at something most Dallas housing market updates don't even talk about. The number of homes not selling is quite staggering, because there's 209 homes that were pulled off the market or the listing was canceled because the seller had changed their mind for whatever reason. And then 75 of those homes had been on the market for the length of their listing agreement and they had expired, so they did not sell. So that's giving us 284 homes that did not sell. So that is telling us 1 in 2 homes that were on the market never sold.
It's crazy because I think, well, at this price point, for one thing, a lot of times what agents will tell their sellers is, let's just pull your home off the market, let's reposition it, and we'll bring it back. Maybe it's a seasonal thing. Maybe they think, oh, we'll relist in the spring when there's, more buyer activity, whatever that reason is. Sometimes the home does need a refresh. Sometimes they need to do a little updating, or maybe have a price improvement there, whatever that reason is, and then they'll bring it back on. So we don't know actually how many of these canceled homes are going to get relisted, after they've had a refresh, and the expireds as well. Like, they sat on the market for quite some time and just did not sell. So this is quite interesting. I don't know if more people are understanding the market is shifting or kind of what their thoughts are behind this, but that is a large number. So with so many homes that have expired and canceled, you would think that homes are probably selling for quite a bit less than their asking price. So let's look and see, what does the data say on this?
Now, we broke this down by price bands. So right now, from the 1 million to basically 1.5 million, they're getting 95.7% of their asking price. And then the 1.5 to 2 million, you're at 97.2%. Then we look at the 2 million to 3 million, they're getting 94.8%. And the 3 million plus is at 94.5% of the seller's asking price.
So buyers are still actually paying pretty close to their asking price when these homes are positioned well. That is always the key.
But all this ultimately leads back to the question everyone cares about the most, which is the price. How much are homes actually selling for in the $1 million plus price range? When we look at the numbers, the median closed price for all the 4 counties is at $1.395 million. That's actually up 1.5% from this time last year, and that's with 309 properties that actually sold, which is up by 12 homes from this time last year. Now, out of that, the most expensive property it sold, which was in Dallas County, was at $8.6 million. But the price story actually looks a little different depending on which county that you're in. Now, when we break this down with all 4 counties, Dallas County median price range was actually the highest out of all 4, where they're at $1.5 million. Now, that was a decrease by 2.9% from the previous year, even though they had the highest closed sale of all 4 counties at $8.6 million. Then we look at Denton County. Their median was at $1.295, and that's a 0.4% decrease from the previous year. Now, the surprising part is that Collin County's median price actually increased by 6.4%, giving them $1.35 million in the median sales price. Now, when we look at Tarrant County, they actually had the highest increase, and they're at 10.5% year over year, giving them the median price of $1.37 million. So when we look at this, like we're saying, it really depends what county that you're looking at of what each market is doing. So some you've had some decreases, and then some you've definitely had some increases.
So if you'd like to know what is actually happening specifically with your home, your neighborhood, feel free to reach out and schedule just a quick call with us. As you probably know, real estate's very local and can change drastically even within the same community. And if you're up for watching more videos, check out this next one and we'll see you over there.